on today. I'm going to give just a few minutes here for people to kind of jump on. I know it's always pretty early that we do our lives. I'm still waking up. I don't know about you guys. I hope you guys are doing well. It is a wonderful Friday, and we are here live from Redding, California, which is where Igniting Hope Ministries is located. And it is finally getting warm here. We have actually had an amazing spring with a lot of rain, pretty unusual for Redding, but we are getting up into the high 90s and 100 degrees. I don't know about you guys, but it is definitely summer here in Redding now. Like I said, I am so excited to be on with you guys this morning. And if you guys don't know me, my name is Ash Anderson, and I'm the project manager here at Igniting Hope Ministries. Which is amazing. I've recently stepped into that position, but I've been here with Steve and Wendy for about just at 4 years now, which is amazing. I love working for Steve and Wendy. Obviously, if you guys are watching or following Igniting Hope Ministries, you as well just know how amazing Steve and Wendy are, how impactful their message is. It's very special. So anyway, I'm so excited to be on this morning. Hope you guys are doing really well. Hope you guys are enjoying the summer. Good morning, Shauna. So great to see you. If you guys want to comment where you're from, it's always so much fun for me to see where people are from. We really get people all over the world, which is just really exciting. And on some of our courses, it's so much fun. People will comment where they're from, and we just have people from everywhere, which is amazing. Good morning, Rob. Good morning, Paul, Cheryl. Oh, so great to see you guys. Love that. Well, I'm so excited to be on this morning because I'm talking about something that has really been a personal area of breakthrough in my life. And I'm just excited to share it. Today's going to be less of a super official teaching or preaching. It's mostly just going to be me talking about some of my experience, some of my breakthrough, and just sharing it with you guys, something that's been really powerful for me and I believe is just a great area of breakthrough for other people. So I'm excited to be here. And then at the end, when I'm wrapping up, I'm going to talk a little bit about what we have coming up at Igniting Hope Ministries. Being the project manager, I kind of get the best bird's eye view, seeing everything that's happening. And so we have some really cool things coming up this summer, including some absolutely brand new things that we've never done before. And can't wait to share those things with you. So if you guys want to stick around to the end, there'll be a few announcements there. But I wanted to jump right in and start sharing with you guys. So this morning, I'm just going to talk about becoming your own best friend. So why is this something that's worth talking about? Well, I think it sounds a little bit funny, but we actually have a relationship with ourselves. I think sometimes we don't really think about it that way. We're just with ourselves all the time. And it sounds a little strange to think that we have a relationship with ourselves, but we know that we are spirit, soul, and body. And we actually have a person right here that we take care of, a person that maybe we have differing things. Sometimes our heart feels something that our head doesn't agree with, or the other way around. And other times, maybe our body is experiencing something. There have been times in my life where I was experiencing anxiety in my body, but I didn't really feel anxious anywhere else. And so I had to learn how to take care of anxiety physically when it's not emotional, or the other way around. There's so many different things that could be going on, so many places to take care of. And in a way, we kind of have to learn how to be a friend or almost a parent to ourselves in different seasons. And so I'm just excited to talk about how that has personally affected me. I think talking about being in a relationship with ourselves is actually really important because we can neglect that sometimes. I think it sounds a little funky. Sometimes it can almost feel selfish to nurture yourself or to pay attention to yourself. It feels like we should be giving all of that to other people. Why am I focusing on myself so much? But actually, I have found that letting myself, first of all, be nurtured by the love of Jesus, and then also showing kindness to myself and taking good care of myself means that I am giving to overflow. I'm not squeezing the end out of the sponge. I have nothing left to give. This is all I have left, and I'm crashing and over emotional. But actually, when I take care of myself, which means physically, spiritually, emotionally, and mentally, then I'm actually able to give from overflow to other people. It makes me a more effective wife. It makes me a more effective and happier friend and employee and spiritual mother, eventually biological mother. It just makes you a happier, more effective, overflowing person, which I believe is what Jesus really had designed for us. I don't think Jesus wants us to be starving and feeding everyone else. I think Jesus wants us to be fully fed as well, and then feed other people from that place. So I'm excited to talk about this. I kind of broke it up into five steps, just 5 ways to become your own best friend. how to be a safe place for yourself. It's great for us to be a place that we can process in our own heart. Obviously, community is so important. It's necessary to have people around us who are listening to our process, giving us feedback, supporting us, championing us, not the easiest word, championing us. But also, it's important to be able to sit with ourselves. If you can't process by yourself, then that's an area that's like a little red flag that I like to pay attention to. I can have a tendency sometimes to be a little too fast to just jump right into things. And I actually have set up which I'll talk about this a little bit more. It's one of the points, but I actually have set up time every morning to check in with how I'm doing because I can forget to do that sometimes. And it's so important to actually pause and take the time to do that and find out how we're really doing. So, the first step to becoming your own best friend, learning how to support yourself and be a safe place for yourself. The first step is to remove judgment. So, this is an area that has been a massive journey in my life, which is to not judge myself. And a lot of times, as some of you will probably really relate to this, but sometimes something will pop into my head. And maybe it's more of an intrusive thought. It could be something from the enemy that he just suggested to me, or maybe it's just my own thought, my own place of process. But something I used to do was anytime I had a thought that wasn't like amazing and exciting, maybe it was a thought about worry. Maybe it was like a negative thought about someone else. Anytime that used to come up in me, I would immediately go to judgment because I didn't like that thought. I didn't want to have that thought. And so I thought the very best thing to do would be to try and punish that thought out of me. Which didn't really work very well. Instead, what it did is actually make me feel really bad, really guilty. And then I wanted to actually, it sounds funny, but I wanted to separate from myself. Like that part of me that I didn't like, I wanted to get it away from me. And so I was in inner disunity because of this thing that I didn't like. I was judging myself, I was punishing myself, and I just wanted to get away from myself, which sounds so strange, but I think some of you can really relate to that. If you're like me. And so I really had to overcome, how do I let something come up, whether it's in my heart, whether it's in my brain, whether it's a fear I have, how do I let something come up and actually process it without judgment? Now, something really important here is to not accidentally over process something that's spiritual, but also we don't want to cast our own emotions out. So it really does take some discernment, and it's okay if you get it wrong. Sometimes I get it wrong. Sometimes I'm trying to like process and journal out something that's actually just a spirit that I'm just like, wait, I'm not partnering with you. Never mind. And it just goes, and it's so easy. And other times I'm trying to like declare or break off or cast something away that actually is something my heart is just feeling. And you can't cast your own heart out. And so that discernment is so key. And we can even just ask Jesus, is this an emotion you want to process with me and you want to talk about with me? Or is this something spiritual that I have authority over that I can just tell to go? And the more you do that, asking Jesus, asking for help, asking your community for input, it becomes easier and easier. And there's so many times now where something taps my shoulder in the spirit and tries to suggest something to me. And I'm like, no, that's not me. I'm actually taking that thought captive and I'm not going to partner with it. But then there's times that my heart feels something. And even if it's something that I'm not excited about feeling, even if it's jealousy or something that's not a good emotion, I'm able to sit with it. And so when you're in that place, it's so important to not judge yourself. If you discern this is a thought that either my brain came up with, it's a worry, or it's something my heart is feeling, it's an emotion, it's something I'm afraid of, there's a fear there, there's frustration there, there's pain there. It's so important to not judge that, because if you judge it, it would be like a friend coming to you and saying, man, I have really been struggling lately. I've been feeling so sad. And you telling them, why won't you just be happier? Don't you realize you have so many things to be thankful for? That's really not the most effective friend. And getting to do that for ourselves, getting to actually be a safe place where I kind of have the value, at least in myself. I'm not saying this is for everyone, but I am allowed to have any thought or emotion without it being bad. If I'm feeling jealous, I'm not immediately going to say, I'm so bad, I'm jealous, what's wrong with me? Instead, what I'm going to do is actually, in a way, it sounds a little funny, but I'm going to mother myself in that place. So I think about what would happen if a little kid came up to me and told me they're feeling jealous of their friend. I'm not going to punish them. I'm not going to tell them, go to your room, you're in big trouble, you had a bad emotion. Actually, what I want to do is nurture the place that's feeling a lack or the place that's feeling pain. And so I want to do the same thing in myself. If I'm feeling, oh man, I'm so jealous of that person, I wish that I had what they had. Instead of judging myself and thinking, oh, I am so bad, I am a terrible person, I don't deserve anything, I want to separate from myself, I want to get this away from me. Instead of partnering with shame, I actually want to nurture a place of pain in my heart. Because if I'm feeling jealous, it probably means that there's something lacking. There's a place of pain. There's a place of disappointment. And so when you get rid of judgment, what you can actually do in that place is you can sit down with Jesus and say, hey, oops, there's something here that doesn't make me very excited. I don't want to have this feeling. I know this is not good for me. I know that this is not what you want for me. And we actually get to process that with Jesus. We can lay it before his feet and repent, actually. And repent doesn't always mean I'm a terrible, terrible human. Repent actually means to change our mind, to turn into something else. And so when I feel jealousy, this is just the example I'm using. When I feel jealousy, I actually, instead of judging that and hiding in shame, what I'll do is bring it to Jesus. And in my own heart, I'll even validate it. I'll say, man, that would be really uncomfortable to feel. There must be a pain point inside me. And that automatically brings this like tense judgment, like stressful, shameful thing. It automatically makes me feel like a human. I feel peaceful. I feel like there's probably other people who feel the same way too. I don't feel so alone. And I bring it before the Lord and then we talk about it. And he doesn't want to leave me there. If this is like a common thing, I'm not nurturing the jealousy. What I'm nurturing is the pain and the heart that's under there, because I know I have a pure heart and I know you guys have pure hearts. The people watching today, you're not going out thinking like, man, I'd love to feel jealous of someone. That's my favorite. You actually want to do the right thing. I want to do the right thing. I have a pure heart. So I'm not going to nurture this like jealousy or this negative thing inside me, but I am going to nurture my heart that wants to do the right thing and just has been really hurt before. And so I'll bring that to Jesus, and Jesus usually knows, he knows exactly what to do. He gives me so much wisdom and so much instruction. And sometimes it might mean I need to forgive someone. Sometimes it might mean that I actually just need to cry out a time where I felt really disappointed. Maybe I just need to cry about it for a little bit. But it's so beautiful because after that, usually the jealousy goes away. I find that comfort is a lot more effective than punishment when it comes to taking these things out of our lives. And like I said, Steve says this all the time. He says, you can't take that thing where you're going. Like you're going somewhere so amazing that you can't nurture and bring this negative thing along. And I agree with that. And I think a lot of times we want judgment in our lives because it can make us feel like responsible. It makes us feel like we're managing ourselves well. So I'm going to judge myself. I'm going to punish myself. I'm going to get this bad thing out of me because I want to be really good. I can't take this thing where I'm going. But what Steve actually means by that is you are so amazing. You're so much better than this thing. And I believe that actually this removing judgment, this forgiveness, this is actually the way that we don't take these things with us, because we treat ourselves like a human. We treat ourselves like a kid and someone who's worthy of love and nurturing. And we get to let Jesus be the shepherd and work these things out of us. And then we get to move forward. And it's so beautiful. If that sounds scary to you, when I was first kind of introduced to this idea of just like being a safe place for myself and being a place that's not judgmental, it felt a little scary because I was worried, what will I become if I don't punish myself? Like what would happen if I just loved myself and nurtured my pain instead of paying attention to the bad thing that I did? If that's you, I want to challenge you to just give it a try, just for like 30 days. You can even set an alarm for 30 days. See what happens if you just nurture yourself. I think that would be amazing. And I think at the end of that 30 days, you're going to find that you grew way faster, because punishment is just not effective. There's a difference between punishment and discipline. And discipline is beautiful. And you can feel the difference. Punishment says like, you're really bad. You're terrible because you did this. But discipline is what Steve says. You can't take this where you're going. And the discipline of the Lord is beautiful. He disciplines those whom he loves. And that repentance is actually part of the discipline. Just saying, oops, Dad, I have this thing that's not so great. Can you help me? It's beautiful. And We're allowed to come before him without shame. So that's the first one. Get rid of judgment. Just cut it out. If you have a thought pop into your head and you've discerned that it's not a spirit, you don't need to cast it away. It's just your own heart, sometimes feeling things that aren't beautiful. You're allowed to sit with it. You can nurture yourself. And instead of judging yourself, sit there with Jesus and let him heal the pain point that came from. Have high beliefs about yourself. Okay, so number 2 is to create space for check-ins. So I kind of mentioned this one at the beginning, but I realized that I have a tendency to just run. I can just go at life. I get up, I'm ready to get the day started, and I love reading my Bible, but sometimes I'll just read my Bible and then jump forward. I'll be cleaning, I'll be starting work. I just want to get ahead. And I love that about myself. It's actually such a good trait. But sometimes a negative part of that trait is that I don't actually find out how I'm doing. And I don't know about you guys, but sometimes it can be weirdly easy to just kind of float through life, assuming that we're doing well. And then sometimes we crash and we find out, oops, I've actually not been doing well for a while now. And I think it's so important to create little moments of check-ins around yourself, just something to bump into, a part of your habit, a part of your daily routine that lets you see, okay, I'm taking a deep breath. I'm going to sit in stillness, not on Instagram, not like actively interceding for something. I'm going to sit in stillness with myself and with Jesus. And I need to just pause for a second and find out how I'm actually doing. And that can be really scary at first, especially if you've been like running for a really long time and then you pause. Oh my goodness. I remember some of the first times I started doing that. My mind was like, I was like, so much was going on in my head. So many emotions came up at the same time. And I was really uncomfortable. But I have such a core value for silence and stillness. Sometimes I'll even just in my car, I'll intentionally drive with the radio off and it feels uncomfortable for a couple of minutes. But after that, it's just like so peaceful and it quiets my brain. It quiets my spirit a little bit. I just feel peaceful. And I just highly recommend that as a tool to check in and see how you're doing. And so what that looks like for me is I try and journal every morning. And I really used to struggle with journaling. I am not naturally much of a journaler. I can talk things out a little bit with other people, but I kind of like to be in my head a little bit more. And so I didn't really understand like what people wrote when they journaled. Does anybody else feel that way? I'm like, what do you write when you journal? I don't understand. But then I started trying it and it sounds so funny, but I was like, I need a way to stink and figure out how I'm doing. And I need to just like write whatever's happening. And I started by writing out what I'm excited for the day. I'm like, today I'm having a breakfast burrito and I'm very happy about it. Like it sounds so funny. But then by just getting what's on my brain out externally, just kind of like exploding on the page, whatever I'm thinking, then I would find that when I wrote for a few minutes, I would start writing things like, I'm really feeling like I need more to look forward to in my life. I'm actually finding I feel a little stagnant right now. I would really love to go on a little trip. Like me and my husband, I think we should go on a little trip and get away because I think I'm feeling stuck in routine right now and I'm feeling a little bit bored. I feel like I need more that excites me. I think and then it would go into things like maybe I'm feeling like I need more connection with other people as well. And it's so crazy. It sounds so funny, but starting out writing about a breakfast burrito ends with me realizing I'm feeling lonely and disconnected. Isn't that wild? But if I would have skipped the journaling, jumped right into the day, read my Bible, prayed for some people, and let's go clean the house, then I would have had no idea that there's actually pain going on and things happening inside my heart that can be addressed. And it's not scary to feel pain. It can seem scary, but when you're actually feeling it, it's pretty natural. I think we can just sit before the Lord and be like, wow, I'm lonely. That hurts. That's actually a bummer, and just sit with the Lord in the disappointment and the pain. But then the cool thing is that when you recognize your needs, when you recognize how you're doing, you can actually take care of yourself better. If you're just running forward assuming you're doing fine, you really have no idea how to take care of yourself. It would be like imagine your child, like your kid, you don't actually ever talk to them and they never talk to you and you're just assuming everything is fine and you're just running through life and they never communicate like, mom, can I have this? Can I have a hug? I'm feeling this. I'm sad about this. I'm really bored. If you just like ran forward, you would feel so disconnected from your kid. But they actually get to communicate with you. They're like, mom, I really need a hug, or mom, I'm bored. And sometimes it's things that are things you can't really do anything about. Other times you actually get to meet that need. If they need a snack, they can tell you and you can get them a snack. And I kind of see journaling as that it's your way of your heart actually having a place to communicate to yourself. Again, it sounds a little funny, and is not my normal personality, but it has impacted me so much. And every morning I'll just write a little bit. And I usually write it as if I'm writing it to Jesus. That made it a little bit easier for me instead of like, dear diary. I'm usually like, Jesus, man, this is how I feel today. I'm having a really good day, or I woke up kind of grumpy today. I feel a little bit off, or I'm so excited about my breakfast burrito. Usually, when I start just writing whatever the heck is on my head, it doesn't matter. And again, if we remove that thing of judgment, which was part one, then you have freedom to journal. You don't have to write anything profound. It doesn't have to be this deep process. It can just be, this is what's on my mind today. I'm stinking thinking about burritos and I'm gonna write it. And I think you'll be surprised when you realize what it turns into. And this might not be the best tool for everyone. Maybe some of you, journaling is annoying, but you think this would be good for you. Give it a try. Maybe others of you, journaling just doesn't fit your lifestyle. It's not the way you process. Maybe you should go for a drive. With gas prices right now, maybe you should go for a walk. But I love going on drives too, just like a place to just give yourself a little bit of space, whatever it looks like in your house, in your life. I mean, whatever it looks like in your schedule. For me, the mornings are the perfect time for that. And like I said, sometimes driving, I'll just be like, I need a little bit of stillness right now. And it's about balance. Other times I'll like listen to a podcast the entire day and I don't have a lot of silence, but some days I just don't really play anything. And I think just checking in, making sure you're actually doing okay. Claire, I did not have a burrito this morning, which is pretty disappointing. I mean, the amount I'm talking about it, maybe I need to go get a burrito. Every Monday I work at a coffee shop here in town and they have the best burritos. If you guys live in Reading, the Stirring Coffee House, their burritos are next level. Everyone who knows me knows that that's what gets me out of bed on Monday morning. So that's hilarious. Okay, yeah. So step one, remove judgment out of your life. Step two is to create space and check in to find out how you're actually doing. And then number three is to care for yourself, to know what you need and communicate it. So this is almost the next step after journaling or creating space. And maybe your heart speaks up and it's like, hey, I need some alone time, or I need some connection, or I need more excitement in my life. When you hear that, the next step is to actually do it, to take care of yourself. And usually when your heart speaks up a need, it's often not just a one-time thing. If your heart is saying, hey, I need connection, then that is usually bigger. Like that speaks to, hey, I need to actually set up a system in my life for connection. I need to create regular, healthy relationships. Maybe you need to meet weekly with someone, or maybe joining a home group or something like that. But if your heart is telling you you're lonely, it's likely not just for one day I'm going to hang out with someone. It's probably something that is something you can actually set up to set yourself up for success. And another thing, this was something my husband said a while back, which really impacted me. But he said, I actually need you to know what you need so that I can take care of you. And he was saying that he doesn't like, he can do his very best. He knows me really well, and he knows the things that I love. He knows what makes me excited. He knows what fills me up. And so he's going to do his very best to take care of me, just like I'm doing my best to take care of him. But there are things sometimes going on inside my heart that he has no idea. Maybe like one day I'm suddenly feeling like the other example where I'm like, man, I'm feeling a little bit stagnant. I think I need some adventure. And that might not be part of our like normal weekly routine, is to go on a little adventure. And so even though he's taking great care of me, there are times when I can feel a little bit neglected. And so he told me this, and it kind of like, it actually really helped me, because I'm realizing I need to know what I need for myself too, so that I can meet my own needs. It's not just about everyone else loving me well. It's about me loving myself well, and then also communicating it to the people who love me and want to take care of me. And so me spending that time journaling, me figuring out, what do I need? What am I lacking? What would help me get back to the point of overflowing like I'm created to be? What does my heart need right now? When I have that conversation, when I find the things that come up, the things that my heart's like, please give me this, I really need this. When I find it, I get to do it for myself. And I also get to communicate to the people around me that this is something I need, which is vulnerable, sometimes a little bit painful or overly vulnerable. Did I just say, I think I said vulnerable twice, but it's very vulnerable, but also so connecting and such a beautiful thing. And so if I'm figuring out, man, I need adventure, I'm feeling bored, then I can go to my husband. And even though it's vulnerable, I can ask that we change our entire weekend plans. Can we shift? Can you help me meet this need that I have? And he will, because he loves me. And just like you guys, the people in your life, they love you. They need you to know what you need. You need yourself to know what you need so that you can meet that need. You can take care of yourself, but then you get to communicate it to the people who love you and actually want to help you as well. So that's such an important key. And I kind of put a little example there. I've recently started getting really into plants. I had plants before, but I killed them all. And so I thought I didn't like plants. But then I realized I actually just needed to put a little bit of research into how to take care of them because I cared so much that I was overwatering them and killing them. And then I thought I was just a terrible plant mom. But however, I now have been getting very into plants and I've been researching them. I have a little note on my phone that keeps them organized when I water them, what they need. I like move them around to be in the sunlight, the ones that need sunlight, and they're thriving. And it's been so fun. And it sounds a little bit funny, but I use the example of plants here because the plants need different things. And some of the plants, even in different seasons, need different things. Some of them like a lot of extra water in the summer, but in the winter, they don't want that much water because they're not like blooming, they're not growing. And I think it's like just, you can honestly, this sounds so funny, but think about yourself as a plant. If you have a hard time meeting your needs, if you feel like it's selfish or if you feel shame about meeting your own needs, and again, I'm talking things like maybe you're feeling really lonely, and to meet that need, you actually have to text someone and say, "Hey, can we hang out?" And that's vulnerable. You can almost think about it like caring for a plant. It's not selfish to need something. Plants need water. Plants need sunlight, and we don't go to a plant and be like, well, you should have taken care of that yourself, or you should feel very guilty. It's very selfish of you for wanting water right now. We can take care of ourselves in that way, and especially if it's something physical, if it's something that feels like it's taking our attention away from what we could be doing that's better. That's something that I've struggled with in the past, is feeling like I could be doing something for Jesus instead of taking care of myself, but actually thinking about yourself like a plant or like a friend or like a child, and pouring back into yourself like, this is something I need. It's not selfish that I need sunlight. It's not selfish that I need to take a break. It's not selfish that I need some alone time. It's not selfish to meet your needs. And it's not selfish to communicate them. The people in your life want to help take care of you. Like, think about someone you love. If they texted you and said, "Hey, I am absolutely struggling right now. Can you bring me dinner tonight?" I guarantee you would be so excited to help them. Like, if someone texted me, if my husband texted me and he was like, "Hey, I'm having a really hard day. Can you bring me a snack?" I would be like, on my way. Like, I'm so excited to get to love you that way. I'm excited to get to nurture you that way. And like having a pet or having a plant. When my plants start to get a little droopy, I'm like, yes, I get to water you. I get to care for you. I love you. And I think that that's just like such a beautiful way to think about ourselves. Yeah, so I actually, this is so funny, but I believe that's a word for some of you. And some of you, the Lord is going to really speak to you through plants. I see, Tanya, what you said, that's so cool that you had a dream about plants. And I just really believe the Lord is on that right now, that maybe some of you, the plants you own, he's going to speak to you about the way he cares about you. And I'm actually going to read a verse from John 15, which is funny because Jesus talks about plants and vines in that verse. But I'm just believing that there's something about plants that he's going to show to you about how he wants to nurture you, how he wants to love you, how he wants to care for you. There's revelation there. Yeah, okay, so the first one, remove judgment from your life. The second one is to create space to check in and see how you're really doing. The third is to take care of yourself, find out what you need, and communicate it to other people. The fourth one is to celebrate your growth. This is such an important one. Steve Backlund always says, we celebrate progress, not perfection. If you're waiting to celebrate perfection, you're never going to celebrate because there's always going to be more to grow. There's always going to be more to do. And again, my tendency is to be a perfectionist. And so I'm like, wow, I'm so excited that I drank more water today, but I didn't drink enough yesterday. And I have to drink more tomorrow. And so my celebration of the amount of water I drink today gets stomped out by how many other things I have to do. Or maybe I drank a bunch of water today, but I also didn't go for a walk and I plan on going for a walk. And it has been so difficult sometimes for me to celebrate myself. But I have also learned the absolute importance of that, because It can feel so discouraging. Stephen, when you talk all the time about a toddler learning to walk and how you're not going to think about all the times, you're not going to meditate or talk about all the times they keep falling, right? You're not going to be like, you fell yesterday, kid, don't try again today. No, actually, you're going to be like, yeah, stand up. You were made for this. Come on. And you're going to celebrate the fact that they stood and they kind of wobbled for a second before they fell. That is exciting. It's like a prophetic glimpse into what they were created to do. And that's the same for you. If you drank more water today, if you wrote in your book today, if you spent time with Jesus today for the first time in a while, if you got to lead worship and you don't see another time in the future, but you got to do it this one time, that is something to celebrate. And I actually just want to give permission right now. If you've never felt like you have permission to celebrate yourself, I just want to give you that right now. You have so much permission to look at what you're doing well. On our team, on the Backlund team, every Monday we send a weekly update to Steve or whoever our manager is. And so like our third years will send it to their mentor and they'll send it to Steve and Connie. Like a lot of people get the weekly update and it's really fun. And we have goals on the weekly update. We have like projects we're working on. It's just kind of a great way to stay connected to what everyone else is doing. And one of the things that I added in mine is just what's something to celebrate myself this week. Celebrate about myself this week, because I realized that I needed a place to just check in and see, what am I doing well? I know I'm doing things well. I know I'm growing very quickly, and I know that I'm like checking things off and I'm meeting goals that I used to think were impossible, and now I'm easily checking them off every week. And sometimes it can be so easy to focus on where you're going next or what your next goal is that you forget to celebrate how much you've grown. And I think thankfulness is a massive key for this as well. Just being so grateful. Sometimes we're living in the very thing that we used to pray for, but we don't even notice it because we're so focused on the next thing. And I think this thankfulness, this stillness, this celebration, and almost like I think it's so beautiful in the Bible how God so often had people build memorials about the really special things that happened. But I think God loves to remember things. I think God loves to meditate on things and to remember that really cool thing I did. Remember how I delivered you there. Remember how you were here, but now you're here. It's such a key. And so I would highly encourage, honestly, for all these steps to just come up with a way that you can fit them into your life. How do you create space for yourself? What's a practical way you can have thankfulness and celebration, even if it's something really quick? Maybe you have like a whiteboard on your fridge, and every week, everyone in your house, whether it's housemates or family, maybe everyone can write something they can celebrate about themselves. Just something so simple, but that culture of celebration brings so much encouragement. It makes you want to go further, and it breaks that perfectionism off and actually gives you a drive instead of perfectionism, which is a very different emotion. You're a lot happier when you're driven versus trying to be perfect. And so the final one that I'll talk about for now is to be nurtured in the love of Jesus. And this is number 5, but could really be number 1. The only way we are able to love ourselves, the only way we're able to love Jesus, the only way we're able to love the people around us is the love of Jesus. He is the sustainer of our love, the sustainer of who we are. In him we live and breathe and have our being. And so I wanted to just read a little bit from John 15. And I love this. Jesus in this verse he's just talking about how much we have to feast on him and how much we need to lean into him. And he starts talking about how he is nurtured by his Father's love and how he receives his Father's love. And he wants us to do the same. So I'm reading from John 15, verse 9. And this is in the Passion Translation. So it says, I love each of you with the same love that my Father loves me. You must continually let my love nourish your hearts. If you keep my commands, you will live in my love, just as I have kept my Father's commands. For I continually live nourished and empowered by his love. My purpose for telling you these things is so that the joy I experience will fill your hearts with overflowing gladness. And then he goes to say, love each other deeply as much as I have loved you. And it's so beautiful. Then he starts talking about loving the people around us, and that's you show that you're my intimate friends when you obey all that I command you. He says that he calls us his friends and not his servants. It's just this beautiful picture of close relationship with Jesus, kind of breaking the boundaries of where we think we're allowed to relate to God and just bringing us even closer. And I love that verse. Every time I read it, it reminds me, how often am I nurtured by the love of God? Like I know, sometimes we can know God loves us, but to be nurtured by something, like you can think about dinner all you want, but it's when you actually eat the dinner that you get nourished from it. And so this last step is so crucial, and again, could really be the first step. But finding moments. How do you create habits in your life to meditate, to eat of the love of the Father, to let it nourish you? How do you let the Father's love nourish you? What does that mean? Does that mean just sitting in stillness? Does that mean soaking? Does that mean writing out what He's speaking over you? I think it can look different for different people and different in different seasons. But this is such a key, because we can't love ourselves without experiencing the love of the Father. We can't even love Jesus back without His love. We can't love other people without His love. And this is the first and most crucial step, just to remain in His love, to stay connected to who He is, to constantly be nurtured by His love. And in that love, we're allowed to receive, and we're allowed to give to ourselves. We're allowed to nurture ourselves, just like the Father nurtures Jesus and how He nurtures us. We can give that nurturing to ourselves, and we can also give it to other people. And that's the whole point. It's so beautiful. We get to love each other. We get to love ourselves. It's all about love. It's so beautiful. I love it so much. So I'll just say those 5 things one more time. And these are ways to become a best friend to yourself, how to become a safe place for yourself. The first is to remove judgment. The second is to create space and check-ins to see how you're really doing. The third is to take care of yourself, know what you need, and communicate it. The fourth is to celebrate your growth. And the fifth, and most important, is to be nurtured in the love of Jesus. Oh, this is so much fun. Again, this was like such a personal little chat. Like if we were having coffee, like these, and you asked me, what's some breakthrough you've had? These are the things that I would say. They've been such a key for me. And again, just breaking off that mindset of thinking it's selfish to take care of ourselves. It's actually selfish to not take care of yourselves, because you can't love other people very well if you're not receiving the love of Jesus, and if you're not a safe place for yourself, and if you have no idea how you're doing. So I'm just so excited for these 5 keys. I think they're going to be really transformational. And I also wanted to share, we have something really exciting coming up. We did it a year ago, but we are doing a new version that is really updated, really kind of jam-packed with some new stuff. And it's called our course Unhindered. If you guys have heard about it before, we're excited to run it again. And if not, this is basically just a 5-week kind of giant breakthrough course. It's my course, which I'm so excited about, but it is an Igniting Hope course. So Steve and Wendy are pretty heavily featured. There's Connie Jones as well, other staff members, Yvette Van Zyl, if you remember her. There's an incredible podcast interview with her. And we're also bringing in our newest staff member, Angela Parker. So there's going to be some fun things in this course, and it's 5 weeks to break through. It's similar to what I've talked about here, but each week focuses on a different subject. And I always say this course is perfect for people who feel a little bit stuck, like that there's more for you, it's time to grow, but you just don't know what the next step is, or maybe you've been trying and things just aren't sticking. This course is perfect for that. Maybe you just have vision to move forward and you're not sure how to take that first step. So the first week is talking about identifying lies and how to hear what a lie is. Sometimes lies can sound really true, which Steve talks about a lot. And of course, we have Steve on that week. It would be ridiculous to not have Steve, right? And then the second week is talking about identifying truth and how to actually hear the voice of Jesus speaking to you. The third is encountering a good Father. This is probably my favorite week, where we just talk about the love of the Father. And on that week, I actually have an interview with Steve, who is a spiritual father in my life. Spiritual moms and dads are spoken about all the time, but something I noticed is that it's not really talked about what it looks like practically. They talk about have a spiritual mom or dad, make sure you have those in your lives. But I'm like, how do you find one? What does that relationship look like? And so Steve, I actually had a chat with Steve in one of the video teachings where we talked about him being kind of a spiritual dad in my life and what that looks like. And then the fourth week is talking about victorious emotions, how to process emotions healthily, how to process pain. And we have a guest, Josh Keener, who used to be on staff with us, but is still very much part of the Igniting Hope family. He's on that week. And then the final week is how to move forward. Like maybe you have dreams, maybe you want to write a book, there's something you want to do. How the heck do you take the first step? Like what do I do to move out of dreaming into practically stepping forward? And that week, it's so exciting. I interviewed one of my dear friends. Her name is Carissa Downs, and she has released a couple books now. And I interview her on how did you go from having no book to having a book? Like how do you go from a dream to releasing this practical product that is now in real life. It's in people's hands. It's in people's on people's dressers. It's actually a real thing. And so she talks about the practical steps and like how she moved forward and stepped out of fear and stepped into that vulnerability of moving forward. And so that is starting on June 27th. I'm really excited about it. And some of the new things we've added on this year. We have a weekly now on Fridays. This is a question and answer session. And so for the most part, whoever was on I'm just pasting in the chat. Sorry, I sound a little distracted right now. There we go. That's where you can find the course. But for the most part, I totally lost my train of thought. Okay, sorry. We start on June 27th. I'm focused now. We start on June 27th, and it's every Friday. There it is. That's what I was saying. I'm back. Every Friday, we have a live question and answer session, and for the most part, it's the people who were on that course this week. And so, like, I had a video chat with Steve, and so Steve will be on the call because what I wanted to do is create a way for you guys to ask questions about the videos you just watched. And so it'll be a lot more interactive this year. I'm very excited about that. There's also going to be downloadable wallpapers with declarations for the week and just some other really cool content. We wanted to just beef it up, make it even more exciting. We had so many incredible testimonies from last year, which means so much to me. But yeah, it's kind of similar. If you enjoyed this chat, if you feel like you want more of it, Unhindered is very similar to that. It's about personal breakthrough, how to step forward, how to love yourself better, and how to walk into breakthrough. And so we're very excited about that. You guys can find it in that link I just posted in the comments or on Igniting Hope Academy. And again, it's just a 5-week kind of a crash course, and we only offer it live one time a year. And so this is the time to join. If you guys are interested, I would absolutely love to have you. And there'll be Zoom calls and a Facebook group. So there'll be a lot of personal connection with me and with the rest of the people who go through the course with you. So anyway, guys, thank you so much for joining. We love our Igniting Hope family. We're so grateful for all of you guys. It's absolutely incredible. And yes, that's true. Last year during the course, that's so true, Claire. Last year during the course, I kind of got married. So that did limit some of the personal connection. But this year, I'm already married. So we don't have to worry about that. I'm just excited to get to interact with you guys a little bit more this year. Oh, and one other thing I'll add, sorry. If you did the course last year and want to join again, then you guys get a discount. So you can email us at info@ignitinghope.com to get that discount code, or we sent it in an email a while back. If you can't find that, shoot us an email. We'd love to have you guys again, and then you have access to that content for a whole year. So anyway, love you guys. Thank you so much for being on the call. Hope you guys have an amazing rest of your